What's up, y'all? I'm Matt Forte here with Sports Spectrum, and I always got my guy Jason Romano with me. And on today's podcast, we got Owen Power of the Buffalo Sabres and Kent Johnson of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Got to get that right. But two best buds, man. I'm excited to talk to these guys, to hear their face story, hear, kind of the story of how they met and, what they're doing these days. And what's up, fellas? Welcome to Sports Spectrum.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Is that true? Are you guys best buds? I mean, Jason kind of told me you were, but I got to hear it from you guys.
We got pretty close at Michigan and still talk a ton now. So he was at my wedding party this summer, and I would say for sure.
Yeah. No, it's all wrong.
Yeah, those listening can't see Kent. He looks very excited about that he was in your wedding party and that you guys met. But yeah, you guys met way back in Michigan. Just, I guess, walk us through that, Kent. From your side of the story. I'll let you tell yours because Owen just spoke for you a little bit. So tell us how you guys met and how this friendship has, kind of matured over the years.
So obviously we both were committed to Michigan, and I kind of knew who he was. Just like being a top prospect, you kind of just hear about guys, and then I actually, because it was a COVID rules, it was easier to drive through the border. And Owen's from Toronto, I'm from Vancouver, so we had kind of organized, I think, through our parents to for me to fly to Toronto, and then Owen and his mom, I think, picked me up at the airport. I think his dad maybe. Picked me up at the airport and kind of hung out with them, stayed the night, and then we drove down. So yeah, right away I could tell we had the same interests. We loved hockey. I think we golfed that first day, and I met his whole family, and they were super nice and just great people. And then from then on, I think we we're just kind of always together at school. Like I said, doing the same stuff. I kind of had a similar mentality with how we approach hockey and everything. And we became very close.
So I remember meeting when I first showed up to Tulane University in college and meeting the guy who ended up being my roommate, but he's ended up being, my best friend and, best man in the wedding, but also I'm the godfather of his kids, same with mine. But when I first met him, he was the most annoying dude on campus. And I was like, I hope I'm not rooming with this guy. Was there any moment when you guys first met and you guys start to have, your friendship that is kind of annoying, but I can tolerate this guy?
I wouldn't say annoying, but there's definitely some stuff that I think me and the roommates gave Ken a hard time for. So, but no, never really annoying. We kind of clicked right away, and then it was just kind of fun banter. That he had some things that he would do that give us good chuckles, and we'd give him a hard time for it.
Yeah. Kent, anything to add to the story?
No, I don't think so. But I remember that correctly. I definitely think there was some stuff, especially back then, that was just pretty funny that all the guys were making fun of me for. And I don't even remember what right now. I'm trying to think. But yeah, there's lots of things. Definitely it was. I mean, I'm still a little messy, but I was extremely messy back then. So that was probably one of them. But.
Yeah. So Owen, I want to start with you on this question. And it's the reason why we're all here, obviously, with Sports Spectrum, how it's the intersection of sports and faith is just a little bit about your story of faith. How did you come to know Christ?
I grew up in a Catholic family, and it was kind of just always something that, was there, but I never really took too seriously. I would, go to church on the big holidays, but just kind of go just to kind of check it off a box. So it's kind of like that all my life. And then, I went to junior in Chicago, and we had a little Bible study with the team there, and I started going there a little bit more. Got a little bit more interested, and then at Michigan, you guys know Mark Rumchuk, was same thing, Bible study. He really, I think, led me in the right direction to really dive deep in it. And then I met my wife kind of at the same time, and I think meeting her, at that time also, she brought me so much closer to Christ, and kind of ever since that, it's been the most important part of our life, and obviously,
Yeah, Kent. Same with you. Same question is kind of how did Jesus and your faith become kind of a focal point in your life?
Yeah, no, definitely a lot different. I didn't grow up with it at all. Our family never went to church. It was never really talked about. So I didn't really know anything, never really thought about it until one day at Michigan, the first time Owen was going to that Bible study, and he kind of just mentioned it and invited me, and I kind of questioned him on like why he believed it and stuff, and like I told him I was like I'm open to it, but I just never really thought about it, and he gave good response, and I don't remember exactly what he said at the time, but it got me kind of like just interested, thinking. I went to the Bible study and I really loved it. I loved Mark who ran it. I could see the light in him for sure. But I think just at that time, for whatever reason, it didn't like fully click, and I didn't really understand like the gospel, even though I heard it. And so it still took a couple years for me. In those years, I kind of believed in God and believed in a higher power. It started to become more clear, but I didn't know Jesus. I didn't know what it meant to be Christian and give your life to Him. So just some stuff, some struggles went on in my second year pro, and then I got invited to another Bible study in Columbus from my physio that I was seeing, and I was like, you know what, like I should go to this. Like I believe in God, like, but I don't know like anything other than that. Like, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go, and then I actually just like made an excuse, didn't go 1 week, and then a few days later, I separated my shoulder in a game, and when I was had my shoulder separated, I prayed like kind of the hardest I'd prayed in my life, and kind of just realized in that moment like how reliant on the Lord I am, and obviously everyone, and kind of was just took that injury as a sign and like time to like figure out my faith, and like kind of just take God seriously, I guess was what I felt and I needed in that moment, and what God was calling me to do. So I went to the Bible study, started learning, and was just like so amazed and shocked at seeing the Holy Spirit move in the Bible study, and seeing going to church, and just starting to understand the gospel, and what it means. So yeah, I gave my life to Him then, and I think it's been like a year and a half since then, and yeah, best decision I made.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that with us. And Owen, I'm gonna hop to you first on this and go back a little bit to draft day. First overall pick in the draft, the NHL draft, and Kent being a few picks later. I think 4 picks later, being the fifth overall pick in the draft. Uh, what was like? Take us back to that draft day. Like, what was that like? What was the experience like? I know the draft day for me was kind of a little bit. Uh, I was a little bit anxious and stuff, but what was that like for you?
Yeah, well, it was actually in COVID, so it was a little bit different than normal. So we were over Zoom, and it was a pretty normal day for me, honestly, up until the actual draft. Just kind of went about my day, and then obviously when the draft comes, it's something you kind of dream of as a kid, and to be able to be there with kind of all my friends and family. I think was a really cool moment that you're never gonna forget.
Yeah, Kent. How about you? I know same kind of environment with it being COVID and stuff that kind of puts a damper on it. But what was the draft experience like, or what was kind of your feeling behind it, like emotionally and mentally going into like, man, this is a whole different transition now, like going into the NHL and I'm officially a pro athlete.
Yeah, no, it was obviously a really fun and exciting time, and something that I put a lot of like thought and time thinking about, like probably being anxious before the draft, and I think obviously for me at that time, like I didn't have God, I didn't have Jesus in my life, so that probably made it like a bit more of an emotional roller coaster. But I mean, it was an awesome day. It obviously it was great to hear your name called, and but yeah, then to just, I don't know, I just think like I'm just thinking about how I went through it back then. It was just so much different through now. Like I feel like I cared so much. I was so worried about, where I was going to go and all this stuff. And obviously didn't have that like faith and just like trusted in God that, probably Owen had at the time. So he was probably a bit more relaxed than me, but no, it was a really cool, special day. And to get to share that with your family and friends was awesome.
Yeah. So next question, I'll start with you, Kent, on this one is about basically the difference now from when you guys first entered the league and how you live out your faith within the NHL. I know for me personally, for example, when I first got in as a rookie, like you just kind of quiet, you got to keep your head down. You got the vets in there and you want to learn as much as you can and contribute to the team. and win. But living out your faith in the locker room just looks a little different when you're young and you kind of, just kind of getting into a new locker room, a new environment and stuff. So what did that look like, as a rookie or as an early player? And then what does it look like now?
Yeah, I think for me coming in as a rookie, like I was super just excited and like you said, didn't want to step on anyone's toes, try to be respectful. And, there was some obviously good times and tougher times with that. Our team wasn't very good my first couple of years either. But then I think, I came to my faith that second year, and then that third year coming back, I feel like was huge for me just to, kind of, I feel like, Jesus obviously changed me a bit as a person. I feel like made me a bit more comfortable in like being me and being true to myself with the guys. And I think overall it's been great, like having these relationships, other guys on our team that believe, and talking about that with them, and obviously just everyone. I mean, I love all my teammates, and they're all great and super helpful. So overall it's really fun. I feel like it's a great job, really fun to just go to the rink and hang out with the guys every day and go to work. So definitely feel very lucky.
Yeah, Owen, same question with you. Like, is there a difference between when you first, or is there something different that you've noticed in yourself as far as even a maturity aspect when you had first got into the league, and then how you live out your faith within the locker room now? I know, as you spoke about earlier, you invited Kent to, Bible study, and brought him with you in college and stuff, and just has that become, I guess, easier to be able to invite teammates and kind of share Christ with them in different ways?
No, for sure. I mean, definitely coming in, you're not very comfortable around anyone. I think it's a lot harder to kind of open up about faith and try and get answers out of guys about their faith when you're young. But I think for sure, as I've gotten more comfortable with the group of guys and kind of being in the NHL for a few more years, I've done a better job, I think, of kind of opening up to guys and trying to get them to come to our Bible studies we have with the team. So that's for sure something. And I think something that for myself that I've seen kind of change in the way I act is when I first kind of came in, I put so much of my, I guess, mood on the outcome of games, and I'd have a tough game and I'd come home and be miserable. Where now I think a lot of it I give credit to my wife, and I'm able to kind of let go of the result and just realize that there's something way bigger than hockey and the outcome of one game. So I think that's the biggest thing for sure.
Yeah, I used to love coming home after a game, whether we won or lost, and realize, look in the eyes of your wife and your kids, and you're like, man, the world has so much more, and God has so much more to offer than just the ups and downs of this game. Kent, I want to ask you about that as well. As like, how are you able to, especially now, be able to separate yourself so much identity wise from a game, where a lot of people look at you, fans look at you as you are what you do, but we all know that we can't place our identity in a game.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's obviously something I've gotten better at, with the Lord. But at the same time, something I still struggle with. Like I still think I, at times idolize hockey, over the Lord, and can get, too much into the ups and downs of it. And so it's definitely something I'm going to continue to work on, and God's going to help me change in. But at the same time, yeah, it's definitely, you read the scriptures and you pray, and I don't know, you definitely, your anxiety or anything goes away, and like after a good game, you don't want to get too high and too prideful, because like you're definitely we're really nothing compared to God. So I think that's probably the big thing for me is like sometimes can ride the wave and be a bit too high and high on myself, where I gotta just be humble.
Yeah, Owen, I wanted to ask you, if you, as you continued to play and obviously had some success as well, the validation or the value of, your team recognizing that. And, I think in 2023, you signed a 7-year extension, and, they gave you a nice, sizable contract, millions of dollars worth. And I know in that moment with obviously a different sport in football, but when that happened with me, I didn't want money to change who I am or to reveal something that is deep rooted inside, which a lot of people say money doesn't change you, just it reveals what's already in you. Um, how were you able to stay humble and have the humility that just because you were, signed a bigger contract, that it doesn't change who I am deep down inside in the core, the foundation of my life?
Um, yeah, I think one thing I realized pretty quickly is I kind of signed that contract, and you realize kind of right away this doesn't change how happy you are at all. So um, I think that's something that people think, oh, you signed this big deal, and your life's going to change. You're going to be so much happier. When in reality, it doesn't change how happy you are um, whatsoever. And like you said, if anything, it comes with more temptations and um, you know ability to live with more, I guess, selfish desires, you could say. So again, I think I'm lucky where I have a great wife that, if I was to change with because of money, like she would, say something right away and kind of put me in place, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Kent, do you have anybody in your life currently that you lean on besides Owen, that is kind of a sounding board or like a somebody that will bring you back to reality, um, if we end up getting, a little bit ahead of ourselves or maybe a little prideful in moments like that, because pride is so subtle it can sneak in really quietly. Is there any accountability person that you rely on? I mean, if it's Owen, that's cool too. But is there anybody else in your life that you do that with?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I'm very lucky. I have a few people, but I'd say, yeah, similar to Owen, the main one is my fiance. Yeah, obviously her. And then I think, yeah, I mean, some teammates, here, Cole Sillinger, Jack Reeves. I mean, I'm around them every day. And, we were just talking about actually at a Bible study with Jed about, I was like, yeah, like, if I if I ever getting too cocky or whatever, like you gotta put me in my place if I have a good game or whatnot or whatever, and I'm showing it too much at the rink or whatnot. So yeah, definitely I have some good people and very lucky.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations too on being engaged and um, when you get married, and I'm pretty sure Owen can tell you it's nothing like finding somebody, especially when you're a professional athlete, that really loves you for you and cares for you, because they are a big part of what we do on and off the ice and field. Um, Owen, I wanted to ask you, um, just in being about actually like being bold and sharing your faith, whether God has given you a platform with the NHL and this hockey game and the platform of being a professional athlete. In what ways have you seen God work to allow you to share the gospel with people, not just in the locker room, but with people who may look up to hockey players or look up to the NHL and they love your specific team?
Uh, yeah, I mean, for myself, it's something that I, I mean, not I struggle with. I'm not the most comfortable doing it, but I think especially in the last couple of years, I've kind of had the opportunity to do different things that have allowed me to come out of my shell and be able to spread the gospel to different people around the community. Um, so it's for sure something I know I need to do better at, and I know God has given me a platform to use it, and that's one of the biggest ways that I could use this platform that He's given me. Um, so yeah, like I said, it's something that I wouldn't say comes natural to me. Any public speaking really doesn't. So, but it's something that I'm getting more comfortable with. And like I said, I've had some opportunities where I'm able to go and do it. And I know for myself when you're able to go and spread the gospel, and even if it's just getting to one person, it's some of the most fulfilling work you could do. And yeah, no, it brings, I think, a ton of joy to my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I can tell you from experience too. When I was kind of like you, just let me do my job. I want to be quiet. I go to Bible study, chapel service, and I don't want to share the gospel. I don't want to talk to other people and do those things. And I was kind of afraid of the public speaking aspect, but yet alone, like God continues to call you into those spaces. So I just want to encourage you to use your voice, man, and your platform that God has given you. Same question for you is there anything that God is showing you right now, like, hey, I really want you to step into this, or do this more purpose-wise, like that fulfilling aspect that Owen was talking about, where, man, I don't like public speaking, but when I share the gospel, or I speak to this group of kids or something, it's really fulfilling, and I've seen God open those doors for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's something I pray a lot is, for opportunities for God to use me to, for his kingdom. So, yeah, I've been lucky. I've gotten some opportunities, and like the first time I did, I spoke at Ohio State to some students, and, I was super nervous and took, a good support system around me and lots of prayers, I'm sure, like helping God speak through me there. But like the feeling after, like Owen said, like it was insane. Like I was like to Mark, who helped me. He was on stage with me, like asked me questions, and I was like, Mark, like, can we do this again tomorrow? Like, like it was just like the best feeling, like better than any great result of a hockey game or anything else. Like I could just, it was hard to explain like how good that feeling was, and but yeah, no, definitely it's cool. Like I think this summer I want to do a camp. In Vancouver there for kids for hockey, and share the gospel at that camp. And so that's something that's in the works that I want to do next summer. And so, yeah, anytime if there's ever something like this podcast or whatever, like anything I get asked for, that I feel like is for God, like I want to just do that no matter what, no questions asked kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to ask y'all both the same question. It's a little bit different. I'm gonna start with you, Owen, because I guess it's different because of the nature of the sport. Like you have to ice skate, and it's not like just putting on cleats and like running out there on the field, or like just dribbling a basketball or something like that. Like you have to know how to skate really well. When did you guys first hit the ice and have the skates put on? Was that something that your parents was that like within the family? Like, yeah, we play hockey, or we get them out there on the ice, as soon as they can walk. Was that something that just kind of bred into you guys?
Yeah, I think especially growing up in Canada, that's kind of the big sport there. My dad was a fan, and I was really lucky to have a rink in my backyard in the winters that my dad would make. So I think he got me out there pretty young. I want to say maybe 3 years old, and just kind of threw me out there. And like I said, I was pretty lucky where I was able to have that, because I think to get me into a skate with other people out there, my dad struggled and had a hard time. But to be able to have it in the backyard and just kind of go out there with my dad, it was obviously I think huge for me to be able to get on nice and young.
Yeah, Kent, same question.
Yeah, I was similar. I was a year later, 4 years old. So maybe that's why I went 4 picks later. I don't know, but yeah, no, it was my brother who's 4 years older than me. He was 3 years old. My dad was like, my back was so sore after, because they gotta like bend over and help you skate. So he's like, I had to wait another year for you. But yeah, similar thing. Like in Canada, I didn't have an outdoor rink in my backyard either. So another excuse for me there. But yeah, no, I was pretty lucky too to get on the ice early, and yeah, it was always just super fun.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm always, even as a professional athlete, when you look at other sports and you see what they do, it's like, man, that is like super cool and awesome. Like when I see the guys skate and they can just turn around and skate backwards and do all that stuff. You want to see something funny? You get a bunch of football players on ice skates. That'd be hilarious, because we would be terrible out there. But Jason, I'll let you close this out.
A couple things. First of all, Kent, you mentioned that you spoke at Ohio State. How hard was that? Because you're a Michigan guy. Both you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, it was
obviously
funny.
It was the gospel, so that's good. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I feel like when God's involved, it's like really puts the rivalry stuff to the side. Although I think it was something funny, like when I was introduced myself, or I think Mark was introduced me saying I went to Michigan, like they were booing, and so yeah, it was funny. But yeah, you get used to that stuff around here, being in Columbus, so it's fun.
That's good. Oh, and what was it? Like you said, you got married, right? This past summer or whatever it was, and Kent was in the wedding. How was the wedding? Like, let's hear about it. Let's get some details.
yeah, I guess I'm biased. I thought it was great. So obviously it's a day that we're gonna remember for the rest of our lives, and it's a super special day. Not only for the both of us, like individually, but also together in our faith. It's just brought us that much closer to God, and yeah, like I said, I'm biased, but it was the best day of my life, and something that I'll cherish forever.
That's great. Kent, how was Owen's moves on the dance floor at the wedding? Was he out there, or was he kind of
yeah,
not too
you know
much?
what? It was good. I was impressed because I know, like, well, I'm the same way, but like me and Owen are not big dancers like at all. So I was like, man, like let's see this. But he was actually good. He must have done some private practicing or something. But
good.
I didn't think he could dance well at all. But yeah, no, it was good. It was funny.
That's funny. Okay, I got a couple more questions. When you guys first faced each other in the NHL, what was that? Because you're a defenseman, Owen, and Kent, you're a forward, right? Am I right on that, or a winger?
Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of you're trying to stop him, Owen. Do you guys have a story or a memory from the first game you played against each other?
I don't really know, like first game, like on ice. It was more so just warm up. Looking across and seeing your best buddy there was pretty cool. I don't really remember like a moment in the game that happened. I know probably the most recent one. He got me pretty good the other game in preseason with a move that I guess it's new to his tool bag, because I didn't see him do it too much at Michigan. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really remember too much from the first game. Maybe we must have. I don't know. I don't even remember the game at all. But in preseason, I had a nice little move on him, and his goalie made a nice save. And I think I was chirping him like right after I did the move, because I was like all fired up. But yeah, if that went in, like he would have heard about it for many years. So he got lucky that his goalie made a nice save there.
I love that. That's a great story. Last question. Favorite on ice moment thus far? So we've had a lot of off ice moments. We've talked about, Owen, I'll start with you, and then Kent, you can take us out. Favorite moment on the ice, and a lot of people might say this is the first game, right? And I know Matt talks about a lot of his first game, which was maybe one of his best games that he had in his career. It was against the Colts on Sunday Night Football. But for you, Owen, your first, or your favorite, I guess, maybe on ice moment that you've had in the few years you've been in the league.
Yeah, man, that's kind of a tough one. I mean, like you said, first game's pretty special. Especially I played my first game in Toronto, kind of against the team I grew up cheering for, so that was pretty cool. But I think also, I think it was maybe my first full year. Towards the end of the year, we played in some, big games, and anytime there's a lot on the line, those games are a lot of fun. So, yeah, definitely one of those.
Okay, Ken, favorite moment thus far?
Well, honestly, my best hockey career moment wasn't even in the NHL. Is World Juniors. We won gold there and scored overtime winner in that. So that's probably it's gonna be hard to top that unless it's like a Stanley Cup or a big playoff goal. So that's probably the biggest one. But obviously, like Owen said, I mean, just those big games like first goal and stuff like that. Like had a couple overtime goals as well in the NHL. So those are pretty fun.
Yeah, those are sweet. I remember talking to Ryan Carpenter and to Josh Manson, a couple of veterans in the league. I don't know if Ryan's in the league right now. He bounced around AHL last year, but they came to the point where they were on a face-off, and Ryan and Josh are both believers. They've been on the show, and Josh looked at Ryan. He goes, "Hey, how's the Lord working in your life?" And he goes, "Hey, I'll tell you after." And then they drop the puck and they start going. I just thought that was a real interesting moment. And we also just had Josh on. Maybe you guys saw it with Jacob Slavin a couple months ago on this podcast, and they kind of just were interviewing each other about faith in the NHL. And I'm just excited for both you guys. As Matt, as I think about, you're both not even 23 years old yet, to think about where you might be when you're those guys' age, in your early 30s, and you've been in the league for a while. To be able to be salt and light in the NHL is kind of cool. So real fun to hear from you guys today. I really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching Sports Spectrum here on YouTube. You can click our next video, or you can check out our website, sportspectrum.com.